Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Mystifying Miracles. I'm Kristen, and I go over twice a week stories that took place in people's lives, true stories, and they always have a mysterious element. Sometimes they're medical, sometimes they're random, who knows? But the point is, they always have a miracle take place in them, and a lot of times more than one miracle, so it's really cool to hear. That sounds like something that interests you? Listen along and we'll dig into our first story. This story today is a story about a family, Byron and Ruthie, and they had 7 children. Well, there was one Christmas that came about, and Byron had lost his job. They were feeling down in the dumps and just down on themselves because the holidays were almost there. It was almost Christmas, and they had no idea what they were going to do. How were they going to be able to provide their children the clothes and the food they needed? And then also, they, as any parent would want, they wanted them to be able to open something. And they had no resources, no money. They didn't know. They were just in a deep depression that year. Byron and Ruthie, one day, they went to the local Goodwill because with the little meager money they had, they just had to find something so that each of their 7 kids would have something to open. And so they're rumbling and rustling through all this, the toys at Goodwill. And by this time, it's all picked over. And what they had was just kind of, if you've been in a Goodwill before, toys are broken or faded or just old or barely work. It was that kind of a scenario. Byron and Ruthie had no choice. It was better than nothing, for the kids. So they pick out one toy each for each of their 7 kiddos, and they head on back to their car. Well, they both leave feeling dejected, and they're getting back into their vehicle, and they even decide to look on the ground for any money that maybe somebody dropped. They just needed anything. Just a little break. That's what they were hoping for. Of course, they couldn't find anything. They didn't find any money on the ground. They get in their car, and they're just, again, feeling even more down on themselves and their situation. And both parents, they knew that Christmas is not about physical gifts, that's not what it was about. They knew the true reason of Christmas, but at the same time, the kids, they don't always understand, and it just breaks your heart, I'm sure, as a parent. I'm not one, but I can't imagine not being able to have your child be excited and open something on Christmas. So I can kind of just try to put myself in their position. They were just, again, they had no idea what to do. And not only that, they hadn't even paid their mortgage yet. They didn't have the money to do that. They didn't have food at that time, barely any food, and they didn't surely have enough to buy even a small Christmas dinner. The kids, they all needed clothes. As you know, kiddos grow fast. They're always needing new clothes and shoes. So there was all these things, and they just didn't have a clue how was this going to end up. They get in the car, and before they make it towards the way home, they just both cried. They wept and they prayed and they kind of hugged each other, and there was nothing else left to do. Christmas Eve, it finally came, and they had wrapped all the little things that they had gotten at Goodwill under the tree, and and not the best wrapping, but it was all wrapped. They're getting ready to just kind of be together as a family that day and see the kids open up what they had. And they're sitting there and they're looking at their little tree. It was kind of a meager looking, Charlie Brown looking tree, so it was barely nothing. And that was what all the little gifts were laying under. They're just sitting there looking at it when the phone rings. Byron and Ruthie, they pick the phone up, and on the other end was a couple that they had met at church. They barely knew these people. They had met them once, twice tops, so they didn't even really know them. Well, the couple asked, "Hey, would it be okay if we stopped by for a minute?" Byron and Ruthie, they weren't going to say no, so of course they're like, sure. Soon, after they had talked on the phone, a big 15-person van starts to pull up in front of their house. Some of the people got out of the van. They come up to the door, they knock, and they ask Ruthie and Byron, hey, can some of your kids come on out to the van and help us carry some things in? You know, Byron and Ruthie are left standing there kind of looking at each other like, sure, okay. So their kids go out to the van and they start hauling in just all this stuff, you know, because the people that had come up, they said, oh, we have a few things. Well, Byron and Ruthie are like, a few things? Because it just kept coming by the loads. The kids would go bring more in and more and more. They just didn't even know what to do with themselves. And it turns out the back couple of rows of the 15-passenger van had been taken out. They had been removed so that they would have room for all this stuff that they were bringing. It was said that the packages, they were piled to the roof. You couldn't even see out the back window. Well, anyway, after everything was finally brought in and placed around that little Charlie Brown looking tree, it was at this point buried under everything because there was so much stuff. And that wasn't all. So once all the packages were brought in, they said, well, we still got more. So then they started bringing in sack after sack of groceries. I mean, it said there were a ton of boxes of food. One of the kids, her name was Callie, she spoke up as she stared into their refrigerator. And she says, look, Mom, we're rich with milk. I can just imagine a little kid saying that. So apparently, you know, knowing that they had 7 kids, these people had brought them not only tons of food, but tons of milk for all the kids. And I just thought that was so cute for a kid to say that. It said that even still today, when the family thinks back on that one Christmas, they even think that, you know, hey, if I can buy milk, I'm rich. You know, they found a lesson in that. So I thought that was really cool. The next morning was actual Christmas Day, and that's when all the presents were open that had been brought. And I mean, they were high quality toys that the children opened. We're talking like Tonka trucks. I'm not sure what year this was, the story, it didn't say, but you know, just wonderful things that the kids had to open that day. Also included were boots and clothes for all the kids. And it turns out that someone from the church had taken the initiative to find out all the kids' ages, what they wore, shoe size, clothes size, all that good stuff. They had found that out, and Byron and Ruthie had no clue. But somebody took the initiative and did that and helped this family out that year. It said that, you know, Ruthie and Byron, they just knew that God was showing them his true heart and that how much he loved them, and that year when they were just on their knees and did not know what to do, he just blessed that family immensely. And they've never forgotten it to this day. So cool. Another just feel-good story. A short one, but still amazing. Hope you guys liked this one. I know I did. Of course, I like them all every week. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please like and subscribe if you like these kind of stories. I will see you guys in the next one. And I do thank you so much for watching and supporting. Otherwise, what would I be doing this for? I enjoy it. I have fun doing it. And I'm just so grateful that you guys watch it. So thank you, and I'll see you next time.